Hello ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else watching. My name's Eric, and welcome back to a brand new video here on the Bioshock Hub. So it's been quite a bit of time since I've actually made a cut content video, and I hope you're going to thoroughly enjoy this video. Also, in this video, we're going to be taking a look at 10 of my personal favorite cut or removed characters from the Bioshock franchise, and if you want, let me know your favorites down in the comment section below. Before we hop into today's video, would you kindly hit that subscribe button and turn on all post notifications to never miss a future video or a future live stream. If you want to talk to me outside of YouTube and follow my social medias like my TikTok, my Instagram, and Twitter, and also subscribe to my second channel, the link to which will be down in the description below. I would highly recommend doing all of those. I'd greatly appreciate that. With that being said, sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy today's video. So for this list, I'm going to be going in chronological order, starting with Bioshock 1, merging into Bioshock 2, and then ending with Bioshock Infinite. So the first one on today's list is the Slugbug Big Daddy, which was a fourth type of Big Daddy, which was started in development, but never got past the concept art stage. This Big Daddy type would have had a large slug-like creature riding on its head and shoulders of the Big Daddy suit. Several of the slug's tentacles were rammed into the viewports of the suit. Other smaller tentacles produced acres of electricity and could fire bolts of plasma at its enemies. So this one, in my opinion, and if you see it on the screen, looks badass, but I don't see the practicality of it. Coming in at the number 2 slot, we have something from the Museum of Orphan Concepts, that being the Yam Hand. And this was an early concept of a splicer from a time period where disproportional limbs were being considered. On a special note, the head creator, Rob Waters, said it made you kind of wonder what the heck was going on under that dingy burlap sack. Given the lack of weapon, this splicer may have resorted to melee attacks. Personally, I would have loved to see this roaming around Rapture. However, I don't think that it fits the theme of Rapture, if that makes sense. You look at the normal Big Daddies versus the Yam Hand, it just doesn't seem like it would fit well within Rapture. Then again, maybe I'm wrong. Let me know down in the comment section below. In at the number 3 slot of today's video, we have something that actually made its way into Bioshock 2 and ended up being the Rumbler Big Daddy. Today, we have the Slow Pro, which stood for Slow Moving, Projectile Shooting, Fucked Up Melee. And this Big Daddy was intended as a slow range type that would center itself and kneel to fire a heavy projectile at enemies via a large mounted cannon. However, he was cut out of development late due to limitations in file space and storage, which is a shame. However, if you want to see the Slow Pro in action and in all of its glory, go to Bioshock 2, get into a fight with a Rumbler, and you'll know what the Slow Pro is. Now we move on to Bioshock 2, and this one is pretty funny if I do say so myself. Next up, we have the Brute and Ducky. The concept art reveals that there was a proposed idea to combine the Ducky Splicer model's attire with the Brute Splicer, which would have looked hilarious. This concept art shows the Brute Splicer wearing 2 of Ducky's outfit variants from Bioshock 2. It can be assumed that this would have been an area-specific choice, much like the Toastie's prison uniform or the Lady Smith's nurse uniform from Medical Pavilion. Let me know what you think of that down in the comment section below. Do you think that should have stayed in the game, or are you glad it was removed? Next up, we have one of the coolest concepts that were unfortunately removed from the game, that being survivors. With the exception of some of the NPCs, the concept of non-spliced people still living in Rapture, whom the player may or may not have interacted with, were cut from the final game. These remaining citizens would have special breathing apparatuses and wrap their clothes in duct tape to keep them more watertight to better navigate Rapture. At their safe houses, they would have been dressed more normally, like regular people. When the idea was scrapped, the model was repurposed as a mutated splicer that only appears in the demo. So, there was a huge missed opportunity there, in my personal opinion. I would have loved to see other people in Rapture, just to see how the deterioration and how the batshit insanity of Rapture affected them. I think that would have been an amazing concept. Next on the list, we have one of the more grotesque looking enemies, that being the original Alpha series. Some concepts, like the one you see, show that the Alpha series developed horrible deformities from the splicing experiments performed on them. Some of these deformities were so extreme that some facial features, such as eyes and their mouths, could be seen sticking out of the Big Daddy helmet. That would have been so badass to see these wandering around Rapture instead of the Alpha series that we actually got. Unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier, I don't think it would have fit well in Rapture, although I would have absolutely loved to see it. And for the final slot in Bioshock 2, we have the Little Brothers. Bioshock 2 explored the concept of little brothers, and the idea had been brought up in an audio diary called Why Just Girls, but no satisfactory answer had ever been given as to why they weren't in the game. Ronald Jan notes in the Deco Devolution art book, quote, "They were supposed to be like little sisters, but they were a failed experiment. Little brothers were supposed to be aggressive, so they couldn't be used for gathering, which is why I imagine they were ultimately cut. There would have been a little brother therapy room in the therapy wing of Inner Persephone, but that was repurposed as the pediatric wing for the little sisters. Again, I would have loved to see these in Bioshock 2, but ultimately they were cut, just like everything else on the list. And now we move on to Bioshock Infinite. First off, we have the Automatic Gentlemen, which weren't intended to be an enemy. Automatic Gentlemen were envisioned as servants to the rich of Columbia and would have likely been seen numerous times over the course of the game. While the Automatic Gentlemen were cut from the game fairly early in development, the various vending machines encountered in Columbia feature animatronic figures that resemble them. So at least, even though they were cut overall from the game, we still get to see them in the vending machines. So they took a negative and turned it into a positive, in my personal opinion. For the second spot in Bioshock Infinite, we have one of my favorite enemies that were cut, that being the Claw Daddy. What a name, what a name. The Claw Daddy was an enemy that was cut from the final version of Infinite, and it was conceived as an individual wearing a crab-like exoskeleton that would grab people and rip them in half, which sounds absolutely badass if I do say so myself. From close-ups of the Claw Daddy, it can be seen that the pilot's face is distorted from being exposed to tears, and I imagine that vigor usage was pretty high within these enemies as well. This concept eventually evolved into the Handymen. I really wish the Handymen would rip you in half, but hey, that's okay. The Claw Daddy just seems like it would have been the perfect enemy to fight within Bioshock Infinite, along with the Handymen. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below, please. And finally, rounding out the list, at our number 10 slot, we have the Resurrector. Before the Siren, an enemy known as the Resurrector served as the forerunner for an adversary that would bring back or manipulate the dead in some fashion. Essentially, a necromancer. Dressed to resemble a cardinal of the Roman Catholic Church, the Resurrector would apparently use the blood flowing from his palms of his hands to resurrect the dead and fight for them, just like the Sirens do, except minus the blood. The earlier version of this concept wore long robes, a large papier-mâché saint mask, and had bleeding hearts carved into the palm of their hands from which the blood flowed. This is an incredible concept, and if you could tell by the picture, it was very well thought out. I'm not exactly sure when in development it was cut, but I absolutely adore this enemy. So everyone, that's going to do it for today's video. I really do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, would you kindly leave a like? It helps the channel grow and it helps the video get out there. Also, if you're new and want to see more Bioshock content in the future, would you kindly hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and turn on all post notifications to never miss a future video or a future live stream. If you want to talk to me outside of YouTube or subscribe to my second channel, the links to those will be down in the description below. I'd appreciate it if you followed and subscribed over there. Also, I want you to tell someone you love them today. That's the challenge for you. Anyways, thank you all so very much for watching today's video. With that being said, take care, stay safe, and I will talk to you all in the next one.